very rough. You get some idea right there of just how rough it is. This is Ferrari Collection Race Team, boat number 26. This is a 35-foot Jaguar, powered by two 800-horsepower Mercruiser inboards with Mercruiser drives. This boat is owned and throttled by Mandy Fernandez from Coconut Grove, Florida. Driver is Hugo Colombo of Fort Lauderdale, Florida also. This is a very exciting race team. Colombo and Fernandez make up the Team Ferrari, the collection race team, and they've had great luck. Already this year, they've had a second place at Key West and a fourth place at Cape Coral, putting them in second place, actually tied for first with the Duntemans of Agitator in the Superboat class. So a strong performance here today will certainly catapult them into the lead in the Superboat point standings. And Fernandez is hungry. This is his town. It is his waters. He's been an offshore powerboat racer for so many, many years, all the way back from the days of Dan Carrera with so many race teams, and have met with nothing but great success. So Fernandez really has done the job in getting some sponsorship so far for this boat, headed up by Ferrari and the collection, taking all his resources and experience and teaming up with Mercruiser and getting Hugo Colombo as the driver today, and they've really done a fine job. Mandy Fernandez Colombo making up Team Ferrari, the collection, and right there the picture speaks for itself. He's really got this boat dialed in quite nicely. Fernandez doing a phenomenal job on the throttling. He's going all out today. He wants this race very badly, and we wish them nothing but the best. Mandy Fernandez's Team Ferrari. Fernandez really has Team Ferrari dialed in quite nicely, and their crew chief, Ralph Garullo, has done a great job in helping prepare this boat, is certainly to get some credit for the success of this race team. Fernandez will be locked in a fierce battle all day, of course, with the Duntemans and Agitator, the Warrior race team, Hooters, and Lipschitz Dollar Marine Special. We look for some very exciting competition in the Superboat class, and we wish Fernandez all the best in Team Ferrari. Once again, Fernandez seems to be enjoying a very fine run at this time, but according to our calculations, we seem to be heading out to sea, whereas the first checkpoint is more towards land. So this certainly could be a problem, and it seems all the other competitors are following Fernandez, who is at the present time in the lead. So this could be a problem. We'll have to see if they correct it and get back on course. So another boat in that lead pack is boat number 88, the Dollar Marine Special Race Team. This very colorful 41-foot Apache is powered by two 750 horsepower Zool inboard motors with Kike for outdrives. This boat is owned and mapped by John Herrick of Jericho, New York. Driving today is Scott Herrick of Alexander, Virginia. And on throttles, you've got Phil Lipschutz from Miami, Florida, another man who's very familiar with the local waters and a very fierce competitor. Phil Lipschutz has done a fine job, as well as John Herrick and the entire Dollar Marine Special Race Team. Dollar Marine Special is presently in 4th place right now in their class. He had a 1st place in Key West and a disappointing performance at Cape Coral where he did not start. But right now he's come out here and he's really looking to improve on his point standings in this super boat class, and we wish him nothing but the best. A very colorful boat. And this 41-foot Apache deep V hull is tailor-made for these type of racing conditions. It thrives on the rough racing seas that we have here, a 4 to 6 foot chop, and this boat can certainly do the job. And there you see the crew acknowledging the presence of Freeze Frame. They're very excited about being here as we are, and we certainly wish them a very fine run. And right now, Lipschutz and Herrick's really seem to have this boat dialed in quite nicely. Very colorful boat. The crew looks very confident there. They look very comfortable in their boat right now. Those Zool inboard motors are really doing the job. A lot of power. Richie Zool has done a fine job in working with the Dollar Marine Special Race Team, and together with their united efforts, they've come out with this very exciting, sleek racecraft, and we wish them nothing but the best. Right now, the entire fleet seems to be off course. Actually, they are off course. So this is the story very early on in this Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150. This is certainly going to affect the overall results toward the end, and it's just a question of when they realize that they are off course and get back on the right course, and we certainly hope the entire fleet gets this corrected. From Miami, Florida, the Dollar Marine Special. Once again, they look very comfortable, nestled tightly in their cockpit. A very good-looking boat, the Dollar Marine Special. And this very exciting paint job has been done by Trick Paint out of Miami, and it's certainly an exquisite paint job. Very colorful and certainly catches the eye. The Dollar Marine Special Race Team. Now we come up on boat number 38, the Superhero Race Team. This is a 38-foot superhero race boat powered by two 780 horsepower C-Tech diesel inboards with FB design outdrives. This boat is owned by Superhero out of San Pedro, California. Driving today, we've got Gregory Poole from Honolulu, Hawaii. On throttles, you've got Joseph Gear from Woodbridge, New Jersey, who is also your driver of record, and navigating is Steve Carr, also hailing from the Honolulu, Hawaii area. So we've got the combination from Woodbridge and Honolulu forming the Superhero race team. Superhero, they had a very good race, taking a third in Key West, but a very disappointing performance taking a ninth in Cape Coral. Now has them in 7th place in points in the Superboat class. But they have a good race boat, and they're very confident in their abilities, and they have an excellent race team, and they certainly hope to improve upon that here today. And this boat can also handle the rough waters. And as you get an idea with Miami in the background on this leg, you see the swells and the chop causing some very rough rides. The boat looks very good, but obviously the speeds are going to be off in such rough racing conditions. But obviously these slow speeds will hinder everyone. So we're all racing under the same racing conditions, so it's just a matter of who's got the best crew and the best equipment to get through these rough seas. That's Talon on the inside being passed by Superhero. Different race categories, so it's certainly not a problem, but nonetheless some exciting racing. Obviously, many of the boats have gotten back on course. They realized their error from the navigator going off course, but now things seem to be much more in order, and everyone is getting back on course and running more successfully throughout the course here off Miami. So with that, we're going to stay with Superhero, and we certainly wish them the best here today with their run. The Superhero race team. And there in the background, you see the Talon race team going head-to-head with Superhero. Talon presently running in first place in their class, and they're having a very strong run. But right now we're staying with the winged Superhero race boat. Mandy Fernandez continues to have a very strong run in Team Ferrari, the collection. Now we come up on P26, the Talon race team. This is a 37-foot Talon powered by 3 250-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Gary Armington of Sarasota, Florida, who does the throttles, and Rich Middleton, also from Sarasota, does the driving. Middleton and Armington making up the Talon race team. And right now we're pleased to report that Talon seems to be the first boat who has gotten back on course. They are heading toward the checkpoint boat properly. They have made the necessary corrections, and they are presently underway. So hopefully all the boats will follow suit, just as they followed Fernandez getting off course. Let's certainly hope they follow Armington and Middleton in Talon to get back on course, and this race will certainly start taking form under the correct course. So we're very excited and happy that Talon has made the necessary corrections. Good bit of driving by Armington and Middleton here. Talon race team, they got off to a firecracker start. They took a first place in Key West, which was a very excellent performance by them, but unfortunately they were not able to start the race in Cape Coral. Very disappointed there, so they're presently in second place in points in Pro Stock in a tight battle actually with Panama Jack and Bad Move. So we certainly hope they have a good run here today to put them in a good points position in the Pro Stock category. But Armington and Middleton is doing a phenomenal job right now. Armington really has this boat dialed in quite nicely. Fantastic job on the throttles. And this cat is really going to have a rough day today with these rough seas. But Armington and Middleton have been through the battles before out here in the open seas, and they certainly know what's expected. So with that, we wish the Talon race team all the best from Miami, Florida. Now we come up on boat number 15, the Spirit of America race team. This is a 38-foot Cougar racing hull powered by two 800 horsepower inboard motors with Kike for outdrives. This boat is owned by John Antonelli of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and driving for him he's got Matt Bauman from Lexington, Ohio, and on throttles David Penna from Miramar, Florida. John Antonelli, who is in charge of the APBA this year, hasn't been racing, but he has come out with his boat, and he does want it out there, and it's a very good boat. John Antonelli is very proud of the Spirit of America race team, and right now he's very confident with the driving abilities of Matt Bauman, who's he selected to pilot his boat here today. Spirit of America has some tough competition. We've seen Agitator, who took off on a quick lead with Fernandez. There's going to be Fernandez's team Ferrari, Hooters, Dollar Marine Special, who we've seen, Superhero, who we've seen, and Spirit of America, as well as Black Thunder, who's going to be locked in a fierce battle all day. When you have rough racing conditions like this, it's really anyone's race. Some people feel, and it probably could be a true fact, that the deep V's do have a bit of advantage over the cats in rough racing conditions, but nonetheless, these boats have quite a bit of power, which can have anything happen. Xena Data Systems helping out the Spirit of America, as you see right there in your picture. Great close-up of Bauman and Pennant tucked in their racing capsules. From Miami, Florida, it's John Antonelli's Spirit of America, and we wish them a very good run. Penna is definitely doing the job now on the throttles. You can hear the power of the Spirit of America boat right now. He's really got this boat dialed in, and they're picking up on power right now, really screaming around the race course on this leg. John Antonelli in our last race was successful in driving the Hooters racecraft with Raja Rogers, and they had a very good run. And he's very proud once again of his team out here today. He wished he was probably out here racing, but he's very comfortable with the performance of Bauman and Penna in the Spirit of America race team. Now we come up on another one of the Pro Stock entries. This is certainly a tough competitor for Talon, who we've already seen. This is P13, the Lipstick Race Team. This is a 32-foot skater powered by three 260 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Champion Marine of North Miami Beach, Florida. Driving today, we've got Louis Cruz from Pompano Beach, Florida, and on throttles, Jeff Soffer from North Miami Beach, Florida. A very good-looking boat, and this team is dialed in quite nicely right here. The Lipstick Race Team really having a good run on this leg of the course. What a beautiful day for racing. Miami Beach, what more can we say? Miami's certainly providing a great background here for offshore powerboat racing, and the APBA as well as Freeze Frame is thrilled to be back out here with offshore powerboat racing out of Miami. And Lipstick is looking very strong right now. They'll be dueling with Talon, who is presently in first place in class, also with Panama Jack and Bad Move, and Pro Stock should certainly be a fine competitive category here today. Soffer doing a great job on the throttles. These Mercuries sound very well right now, running very strong. Soffer doing a great job throttling. Cruz really holding the boat together quite nicely and doing a fine job throttling. Cruz and Soffer making up the Lipstick Race Team. Wish them a fine run here today. Here goes Lipstick as they round the checkpoint here on the race course, and they're heading toward the next leg of this race course, and they're looking very good. They've got many competitors in front of them, and this thing is really starting to turn into an excellent boat race. There they round the checkpoint right there. There you see some of the other competitors on the other part of the race course, so we're really getting a good bit of racing right now. The Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150 is really starting to pan out into a very excellent offshore powerboat race right now with some very good competition. Now we come up on Agitator, and they were just going by Courageous Cat, who unfortunately met with a mechanical breakdown and have been knocked out of the race. But the Duntamans are really looking strong. This is boat number 10, the Agitator race team. It is a 32-foot multicolored skater racing hull powered by two 650 horsepower United Racing inboard engines with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Alan Duntaman of Oak Brook, Illinois, who does the driving, and Kirk Duntaman, also from Oak Brook, Illinois, does the throttles. The Duntamans have really had a fantastic year. Right now they're locked in a points battle, tied for first with Mandy Fernandez's team Ferrari. They had a very good campaign so far. They took a 4th place in Key West, a 2nd place in Cape Coral, and these guys are dialed in quite nicely right now. What a great competitor the Duntamans are, and they've got quite a bit of illustrious race history behind them. Very rough right there, but no problem for the Duntamans. They get back on course and get those throttles pegged right down and doing a phenomenal job. These United Racing inboard motors, as you can hear, are really doing the job. They've got a good bit of history behind them. They're the United States Southeast Division champ for 1988 and 89. They're the Gold Coast Cup Series champion for 1987, 1988, as well as 89. And they're voted the best dressed team of 1989. So not only is it important as to how you run, but it's also important how you look. And the Duntamans seem to have both bases covered quite nicely. From a personal point of view, Duntamans, they were the Rookie of the Year driver in 1985, as well as Driver of the Year in 86 and 89. So that's certainly a great testament to Alan Duntaman, who's become a real superstar here on the APBA Offshore circuit. Kirk received Throttle Man of the Year award in 1987, and they both got Sportsman of the Year in 1988, as well as the Humanitarian of the Year for 1989. So they have certainly a very illustrious history behind them. They're great guys as well as great competitors, and certainly one of the all-stars of the APBA circuit. Kirk and Alan Duntaman of the Agitator race team enjoying a very fine run right now. Now we come up on the very exciting and colorful P19 Panama Jack race team. And on the outside of him, it's Dollar Marine Special. Two boats going at it head to head. One's a super boat, one's a pro stock, but nonetheless, it makes for some very exciting competition. Panama Jack is a 31-foot Conquest powered by three 265 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by John Carbona of Fort Myers, Florida, who is doing the driving, and on throttles he's got Terry Hill, also from Fort Myers, Florida. Panama Jack, he's flying right now. This boat is running very strong, and they're making a very aggressive move right now. Really dialed in quite nicely, as you can see. So far, Panama Jack is enjoying a first place hold in the Pro Stock points battle right now. They had a second place at Key West, a fifth place in Cape Coral, and with that performance and the other boats having some difficulties at Cape Coral, they are able to hold on unquestionably without a challenge in the first place in Pro Stock points. So with a good run here, it will certainly assure a strong foundation for Carbona in the Pro Stock division here. And Carbona knows this, and he and Terry Hill are going all out here for today's race. They'll be locked in a fierce battle with Talon, Lipstick, who we've already seen, and Bad Move also. So it'll be a very tough day of racing for Panama Jack, but they know what's expected of them, and they really know what their abilities are, and they're going all out. Here you see them running neck and neck with Dollar Marine Special, and they're going at it. Two different categories, but look at that picture right there where we've got some excellent side-by-side offshore powerboat racing. The APBA providing you nothing but the best in competition, and Panama Jack is making his move right here, but however, Dollar Marine Special hanging tough. So we wish Carbona and Hill all the best of the Panama Jack race team. Now we're going to come back and we're going to do the entire divisional start. There you see in your picture Superhero as the pace boat. We've got Gary Johnson, Freeze Frame's #2 cameraman, bringing you the footage here, and this should be an excellent divisional race. All categories, A through D, will be taking off. Based on the rough seas, they'll be running 3 laps, totaling 45 miles, and this promises to be 45 miles of some exceptional offshore powerboat racing. We've got the green flag, and we are underway. Network Express in the middle of the picture, taking a quick early lead. We've got STX Enterprises. We've got Lady L. We're going to have some tremendous racing. Jamaican Bobsled, Environmental Impact. The heat is on. Fish Peddler, Vanishing Point, Mr. Zip, Wild Thing, Too Hot, and many, many more. But right now we're coming up with Network Express, who is your early leader right now. He's running in the offshore B category. This is B50, the Network Express race team. This sleek 33 all-black fountain race hull is powered by 2 525 horsepower Bauer inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Mark Franz of Great Falls, Virginia, who is driving it today. And on throttles, we've got Art Lilly from Edgewater, Maryland, and Alan Borum from Edgewater, Maryland is your navigator. Just recently, they took a second place in Offshore B in the Virginia Beach race. So they've got a good run under their belt, and they're coming out here today to really show a strong performance. Just listen to these guys do their thing. There's a very interesting storyline behind Mark Franz and the Network Express race team. They are all set for July 20th, 1990 to break the assault on the Great Lakes. It's a record of 605 miles, and they are getting pledges for per mile that they run, with 100% of the proceeds going to Child Help USA in an effort to build a village on the East Coast to home abused children. Their goal is to raise $6 million with the race, which they have called the first annual Race for the Children. That is certainly a very exciting event that we're looking forward to being at, and it's certainly a great thing and a testimony to just what Mark Franz is all about, that he wants to reach out and help the many abused children throughout the United States and go for the assault on the Great Lakes record, and we're certainly excited about him, and people from all over the country are rooting for him to do a very formidable job. He would like to extend a special thanks to Microtechnology, Criswell Chevrolet, Lilly Sport Boats, and Baker Performance Engines for helping sponsor the Network Express race team. Just listen to Lilly doing the job on those throttles, really doing a great job, and France has the boat dialed in quite nicely. They're dueling with Jamaican Bobsled, Environmental Impact, Creative Native, Crack Conch, Wild Thing, Ocean Motor, Lady L, Turn of the Century, Hot Ticket, PD Classic. Many boats in the Offshore B class, and it's certainly a very competitive division. But right now, they're presently running in first place, so we certainly hope they can hold on to this. The competition will be tough, and we wish them nothing but the best, and we wish Mark and the rest of the Network Express crew good luck in his assault on the Great Lakes record on July 20th, 1990. Now we come up on the Hooters race team, D87. This is a 32-foot skater powered by three 275-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and throttled by Raja R. Rogers of Fort Myers, Florida. Driving today, we've got Al Elmer Tarber from Cape Coral, Florida, who is also the race chairman of the Cape Coral race, and he's very excited about joining forces with Raja to drive here today. Raja would like to extend a special thanks to L.D. Stewart of Hooters, who has done a fine job, and without him, this whole Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150 would not be possible, and Raja is very happy with the performance and the efforts put out by L.D. Stewart of Hooters, and would like to extend a very special thanks. But right now, let's get to Raja and the racing. He's doing a fine job. He's had a relatively successful campaign throughout 1990, and the boat is looking very strong right now. Raja normally runs in the offshore D category, but being that they did not have enough boats racing, being that one broke previously the day before, they had to bump up the other offshore D boats into the superboat class. So Raja certainly has his work cut out for him, running against some bigger boats. But Raja is certainly not a man to back down from a challenge, and he's doing an excellent job right here. Raja Rogers and the Hooters race team having a very fine run in Miami. Hooters. Raja Rogers is really pushing this boat, and Elmer Tabor is doing a fine job of driving for Raja today. They're locked in a very fierce battle with Mandy Fernandez's Team Ferrari collection, as well as Dollar Marine Special and Superhero. They're having a fine run. They're definitely in with some big competition, but nonetheless, they're doing an excellent job. Raja Rogers and Elmer Tabor's Hooters race team. Now we come up on the Warrior race team, D25. This is a 41-foot Apache powered by two 740 horsepower Chevy inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Rolando Piega of Miami, Florida, who does the throttling. Bradley Halpin from Miami is driving, and Jorge Diaz from Miami is your navigator. The Warrior race team, and they're really having a fine run here today. They're locked in a battle with Agitator and Team Ferrari right now, and they certainly have their kind of water. This 41-foot Apache was built and designed for racing offshore, and they certainly have the rough seas that this boat needs to get out of the water. He's got a great bit of power with these 740 horsepower Chevy inboards, and Piega really has this boat dialed in quite nicely. They're having an excellent run at this point in the race. The competition between Agitator, Warrior, Mandy Fernandez's team Ferrari, Hooters, Dollar Marine Special, very competitive and very closely matched. Agitator's enjoying a good run. Fernandez, who you saw, was having a fine day. And right now, D25, Rolando Piega's Warrior Race Team, is certainly in the hunt right now for the checkered flag. From Miami, Florida, this is Rolando Piega's Warrior Race Team. Is a very fine race team. This boat is owned by A.L. Kirkland of Panama City, Florida, who does the driving. On throttles, he's got David Steele, also from Panama City, Florida, and Craig Reeder from Panama City is your navigator. So the team of Reeder, Steele, and Kirkland make up Turn of the Century race team. This boat was designed and manufactured by A.L. Kirkland, who's done a fine job with this 30-foot Century racing hull. They are the 1989 Southeast Divisional A-Class champion, and they certainly hope to have a very strong performance here throughout 1990. As you can see, the boat is running very strong and they're having a very good performance. So you get a good idea of those Mercury inboard motors and Merc Cruiser drives, really putting out some performance right now. They've got a big competition in B. So many boats: Jamaican Bobsled, Environmental Impact, Network Express, Creative Native, Crack Conch, Wild Thing, Ocean Motor, Lady L, Hot Ticket, PD Classic. They've got many boats. It's the largest group of boats in one division here today, so the competition is very fierce for the B category in divisional. But however, A.L. Kirkland and the rest of the Turn of the Century crew will not back down from any challenge. They rise to the occasion. Steele doing a fantastic job on the throttling, as you can hear. Kirkland's got the boat dialed in very strong right now, and they seem to be enjoying a very fine run at this point in the race. From Miami, Florida, it's A.L. Kirkland's Turn of the Century race team. Now we come up on B46, the Hot Ticket race team. This is a 30-foot Regal Velocity powered by two 365 horsepower Mercury inboard motors with Merc Cruiser drives. This boat is owned by Timothy Noto of Orlando, Florida, who's doing the throttling, and Robert Coram from Altamont Springs, Florida, is your driver. The Hot Ticket race boat is actually a design known as a Steve Stepp Thoroughbred Velocity race hull. This boat is sponsored by Marine Muffler and Mercury Marine. They'd like to extend a very special thanks to Marine Muffler, who does top quality mufflers, and of course Mercury Marine for all that they've done in helping the Hot Ticket race team. Tim Noto is a brand new addition to the Ironal Powerboat race team and manufacturer. And right there, Noto doing a fine job throttling. The boat came well out of the water, back in, and he was right back on the throttles. Excellent job working the throttles in sync with the motors and this boat. The Hot Ticket race team, and right now they are performing very hot. They do look like a hot ticket, and they're having a fine run. As we said, the Offshore B division is a very competitive group. It's the largest number of boats in any one division here today, so the competition is very fierce and very evenly matched. But with what they have here and the combination of Coram and Noto, they certainly are going to be a formidable player toward the end. From Miami, Florida, B46, the Hot Ticket race team. Now from Hot Ticket, we come up to another offshore B boat. This is B5, the Creative Native Race Team. This is a 27-foot Creative Marine racing hull powered by two 265 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Ron Spink of Panama City, Florida. Driving today, we've got Craig Todd of Panama City, Florida, and on throttles, the incomparable Sammy Neal from Panama City, Florida. Creative Native, and this is a very exciting looking boat. We've got some rough racing conditions, and these B boats are really going to take a pounding. Look at this run right here. Coming way out of the water repeatedly. Oh, what a run these guys are having. Sammy Neal, Craig Todd really having the ride of their lives right here. You just get an idea of how big these swells are, but this boat is doing the best it can to cut right through it. The Creative Marine race hull is taking a pounding, and so's the crew. But they have some experience under their belts. They really seem to be enjoying this ride, and the boat, as well as the crew, is really rising to the pounding that they're taking right now. This is some tough racing, and they're paying the price. B-Class is very tough, as we've said before, but Creative Native is having a better run. They're running in the lead pack of boats with Jamaican Bobsled, Environmental Impact, Network Express, Crack Conch, Wild Thing, Ocean Motion, just to name a few. So we certainly wish them all the best, and these guys are certainly going to feel it at the end of today. It's rough seas, and they're having a rough ride, but this is what offshore powerboat racing is all about here in the APBA. Craig Todd and Sammy Neal in the Creative Native Race Team. Those Mercury motors are really doing the job right here. Creative Native having a fine run. Now we're coming up on another B divisional boat. This is B100 Ocean Motion. This is a 30-foot velocity, and on the outside of them, it's Creative Native. So we've got a head-to-head battle right here between Creative Native and Ocean Motion. This is a good picture right here. Ocean Motion, the 30-foot velocity, powered by two 420 horsepower Mercury inboard motors with Mercruiser drives. This is certainly going to be a test. The outboard motors against the inboard motors, and both boats seem to be running neck and neck right now. Ocean Motion, owned by Dave Mealy, who is your throttle man also, and Jim Sparrows from Mayo, Maryland, is your driver today. The Ocean Motion race team. He'd like to thank Art Lilly of Lilly Sport Boat for getting us there, and he'd also like to extend a special thanks to Dave at American Marine Transmissions, Mike of Foundation Software Laboratories, and Bog at Meyer Marine Transport. But we're locked in a fierce battle. Ocean Motion and Creative Native going head to head. Ocean Motion has a slight lead right now over the Creative Native race team. Good bit of racing in Offshore B. APBA providing you nothing but the best in offshore powerboat racing excitement. These B-boats are really taking a pounding. You can imagine what the A-boats are going through right now. Look at that jump right there. They came way out of the water, traveled a great deal of horizontal distance with a high vertical jump, and these guys are really taking a pounding. But this 30-foot velocity race hull is certainly up to the challenge as well as the crew, and considering how rough it is, Ocean Motion is certainly experiencing the motion of the ocean and having a very good run. From Miami, Florida, it's the Ocean Motion race team. Ocean Motion pushing very hard. Those motors are really putting out the power right now. But right there, they seem to have hit something. That they're communicating between themselves. They seem to have a slight problem, and they have come off on power. This could be a tough break for Ocean Motion. They have been taking a pounding out there, so perhaps some of the equipment did not hold up. They're trying to check it out now, but they are encountering a bit of a problem, and they're slowing down. Could be a tough break for the Ocean Motion race team. But hopefully they'll get it going, figure out the problem, diagnose it, and get back going strongly again. The Ocean Motion race team. Now they're checking out behind them. They're coming off plane, coming to a stop in the water. That's a tough sight. And there's Creative Native coming up, seizing the opportunity, seeing Ocean Motion is in trouble. They're going to come up and seize the opportunity. Ocean Motion, tough break for them. They seem to be pulling out. Tough break. Now we come up on B41, the Crack Conch race team. This is a 28-foot Mantha powered by two 275 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by George Cabana, Sr. of Key West, Florida. He's doing the driving today. And on throttles, we've got Ronnie Martinez from Key West, and George Cabanas Jr. from Key West is your navigator. And that's Creative Native on the far outside. The B-boats, they're really waging a very exciting war right now in the open waters. Cabanas Sr. along with Cabanas Jr. and Ronnie Martinez making up the Crack Conch race team, B41. And they are in a fierce battle with a boat that you see on the far outside of the course, and that is Creative Native, and they're fighting off Wild Thing also. But there you get an idea of the competition, and look at these two boats jump. They look like dolphin going through the water so fast. They're coming way out of the water, having a great run. This is what offshore powerboat racing is all about. Boats and man and machinery going all out, taking a pounding from the open water racing, and both crews, Crack Conch as well as Creative Native, having a good run. So we wish George Cabanas Sr. and Jr. and Ronnie Martinez of the Crack Conch race team all the best here today in Miami, Florida. Ronnie Martinez is doing a phenomenal job on the throttles, and the motors are really responding to his command. There's the navigator lining up the crew. They're getting their checkpoints in order and making their move toward the next checkpoint, the Crack Conch race team. Now we come up on the hard-charging C100, the Heat is On race team. This is a 32-foot all-yellow Manta powered by two 625 horsepower Bandit inboard motors with Mercruiser drives. This boat is owned by John Provenzano of Tampa, Florida, who is your throttle man. Driving today, we've got Joe Sorrentino of Lauderhill, Florida, and Joel Moses of Tampa, Florida is your navigator. The Heat is On race team is a strong boat. They've had a very successful 90 campaign so far, and they certainly are performing up to par today. Look at this boat, styled in quite nicely. It's propelling itself very well over the rough seas, and they're really having a good run. They're presently in first place in class, holding off the hard-charging Fish Peddler, Dollar Marine Special, Party's Over, Blackjack, etc. They're really doing a marvelous job. Provenzano knows what it's all about. He's a good champion. He's been on the APBA for many, many years, a lot of experience, great competitor, and he's letting it all hang out here today in Miami, Florida. John Provenzano, along with Joe Sorrentino and Joel Moses, making up the Heat is On race team, and they certainly do have the heat cranked up on this boat, and it's going all out. These Bandit inboard motors are responding to Provenzano's commands on the throttle, and they're doing a great job right now. Let's just sit back and watch John Provenzano's Heat is On race team doing a fine job here today in Miami, Florida. Provenzano presently running first in the Heat is On race team and turning the heat on all the rest of the competition. John Provenzano's the Heat is On. Now we come up on another offshore sea boat. This is C82. It's a 25-foot Motion. It is the mixed emotion race team. The 25-foot Motion is powered by two 240 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Token Transport Incorporated of Boca Raton, Florida. Ed Thornton is your driver from Boca Raton, and Roy Metz from Boca Raton is on throttles. The sponsor of this boat is Edit Marine, who also does the racing and the maintenance of this boat. And Edit Marine takes care of Mercury outboard motors, and they specialize in sales and service of the 2.4 EFI Mercury outboard motors. Edit Marine and the Mixed Emotion race team. And that crack conch on the outside. So this is a very good battle going on here. However, different classes in boats. Crack conch, a B-boat on the outside. Mixed Emotion, a C-boat coming by on the inside and going by. This 25-foot Motion is really having a fine run. The Mercury motors are performing to Roy Metz's commands on the throttles, and it's looking very good at this point in time. However, C-Class is real tough. You just saw Provenzano's heat is on, running in first place, holding off Fish Peddler, Dollar Marine Special, Party's Over, just to name a few. Mixed Emotion is running toward the rear of the pack with some of the other boats such as Enterprise, Blackjack, and Waste Chaser. However, Ed Thornton and Roy Metz are a good team. Metz has a lot of experience running with the Mercury motors, and he certainly knows what his work is cut out here for today. So with that, we wish Ed Thornton and Roy Metz all the best in the Mixed Emotion race team. Mixed Emotion could be running very strongly in the lead pack, actually. We're a little confused with some of the boats being off course and who's running their laps properly or not. So we'll have to wait to get further results and bring you official results, but right now, Mixed Emotion is having a very good run. Now we come up on C27, the Blackjack race team. This is a Manta Deep V bottom race boat powered by three 275 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned and throttled by Marshall Ives of Miami, Florida. Driving today, he's got Andrew Ives of Miami, and Mario Ortiz of Miami, Florida is your navigator. Marshall Ives has been on the APBA circuit and racing offshore powerboats for as long as we can remember here at Freeze Frame. He's been a great competitor, has been on the circuit for so many years, has provided us all with some great thrills. He's been involved in so many great race teams, especially down here in the Florida area. He's a former 1985 and 1988 Gold Coast champion in class, and he certainly has a good bit of history behind him. Marshall's certainly a pleasure to work with, and he's a true competitor, and we enjoy covering Marshall every year he comes out here on the grueling APBA circuit. And on the far outside, that's Mendy Fernandez's Team Ferrari, the collection, blistering around this race course. He's locked in a fierce battle with Kirk and Alan Dunteman in Agitator and the Warrior race team. The Super Bowl class is very competitive. Right now, Talon, Panama Jack, and Lipstick and Pro Stock are going at it in the stock class. Jetsara, Sunfire, Sundance Skater, Liliana, Godspeed are going at it. Courageous Cat, as you saw earlier on, is out of the race. In Offshore C, Heat is on. Fish Peddler, Dollar Marine Special, Party's Over going at it. B class, too close to call. And Blackjack is also right there, hanging tough in that middle pack of boats in the C division. B class, Jamaican Bobsled, Environmental Impact, Network Express, Creative Native, Crack Conch, Wild Thing, Ocean Motion, all going at it. And in the A-Class, Vanishing Point, Wild Thing, Too Hot, Mr. Zip, Scott Free Racing, all going for it. It's very competitive battles right now. Too close to call at this point. What a great race the Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150 is turning out to be. And there's this scenic Miami, Florida coastline in the background. What an excellent backdrop for racing. And here is a true champion, Marshall Ives, along with Andrew Ives and Mario Ortiz, making up the Blackjack race team. Now we come up on C813, the Party's Over race team. This is a 28-foot Manta powered by two 265 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Gary Ballo of Boca Raton, Florida, who's doing the throttling. Driving today, he's got Mark Shannon from Davie, Florida, and TJ Malone of Boca Raton is your navigator. The Party's Over race team. We would like to extend a very special thanks to Stainless Marine for all the support that they've given the Party's Over race team. And they're locked in a fierce battle right now with Marshall Ives Blackjack, who you just saw, and they're trying to trace down Dollar Marine Special, Fish Peddler, and John Provenzano's Heat is On. C-Class is also providing some very competitive racing. The Superboats and Pro Stocks are excellent racing, but let me tell you, when you get in these divisional offshore categories, you see some of the most competitive and closely matched racing on the shores anywhere. And the APBA provides nothing but the best in offshore divisional racing, A, B, C, and D. Certainly a true testament to the success and excellence of the APBA. And their Party's Over, really taking a big jump right there. But the Manta and Ballo is up to the challenge right here that they just had. So we wish them all the best. We hope they have a good run that they seem to be having today. And we're starting to get toward the closing stages of the race where these guys really have to start making their move. They're familiar with the race course now. They definitely know what the race conditions are like. And now they have their work cut out for them. Bello on the throttles has to do his work. And they're really going to have to let it all hang out. Gary Bello's Party's Over race team. There you see on that port motor, the engine cover is definitely loose. It has not come off yet, and it certainly doesn't seem to be presenting a problem for the Party's Over race team. But nonetheless, it is loose, and we certainly hope this does not develop a problem. I'm not sure if they're aware of it. It's hard to tell at this point, but let's hope it does not become a problem for the Party's Over race team. Party's Over really seem to be enjoying themselves right now, acknowledging our presence above them. They seem to be tucked in quite nicely and really having a fine run. When you can come out and have a great day of offshore powerboat racing and really have fun at it, there's nothing better, and these guys really enjoy it. The Party's Over race team, sponsored by Stainless Marine. Now we come up on the Dollar Marine Special, C77. This is a 24-foot Douglas skater powered by two 265 horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Phil Lipschutz of Miami, Florida. Driving today, he's got J.B. Lehman from Boca Raton, Florida, and Scott Lehman from Boca Raton is on throttles. The Dollar Marine Special having a good run, and they're locked in a battle with Provenzano's Heat is On and the Fish Peddler and Party's Over, who you just saw. So C Division has some very competitive and evenly matched racing going on right now, and all these boats are within an earshot of each other. So C-Class is wide open, and it's anyone's race, and they're all charging hard, making their move for the checkered flag. So let's stick with Scott Lehman and J.B. Lehman in the Dollar Marine Special Race Team, having a fine run here today in Miami, Florida. Marine really doing a fine job of throttling out here today, having a great run in their heat in the C class right now. We wish them all the best. Now we come up on S20, the Godspeed race team. This is a 24-foot skater powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by Lipscomb Marine of Tab, Virginia. Driving today, we've got Louis Ned Lipscomb Jr. of Pocascon, Virginia, and Richard Monday from Hampton, Virginia is on throttles. So Hampton and Lipscomb making up the Godspeed race team. And this boat is having a very fine day. The competition is very tough in that division stock class. You've got Jets Are Us, Sunfire, Sundance Skater, Liliana, Courageous Cat, unfortunately, who is out of the race. So they're all locked in a very fierce battle right now. Last week, Godspeed took a third place in stock class in Virginia, and that was a very good run for them. So they'd really like to build up on that. They're presently in fourth place overall in the overall points in APBA and stock. They took a 6 in Key West, a 6 in Cape Coral. They built on that in the latest race in Virginia Beach with a third place finish. So they are starting to climb the points ladder in stock class. If they can have a good run here today, that will certainly improve upon their points position in stock. They're aware of it, and they're looking to have a great run. At the present time, we're obviously, this is not official, but we believe that Godspeed is one of the few boats, if not the only boat in class, who has successfully run the course correctly and hit all the markers, hit all the laps, and have rounded all the checkpoint boats correctly. Obviously, this will have to be sorted out when the race is completed. The judges will meet and make an official ruling to make sure that everyone has run the course properly, but as far as we can tell at this point in time, Godspeed is one of the only boats who has run it completely, and that will certainly affect the final outcome of the stock division here today. So we'll have to wait and see as things start to draw to a close how this race is going to finally shake out in the Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150. Godspeed, we go to B49, the Jamaican bobsled race team. There's a 30-foot velocity powered by two 240 horsepower Mercury outboards. This boat is owned and driven by Jim Bisline of Boca Raton, Florida. And on throttles, we've got Tom Mason from Deerfield Beach, Florida. Jamaican Bobsled is sponsored by Hillsborough Marine of Pompano Beach, Sheehan Pontiac of Pompano Beach, and Mayfair Performance Products of Hialeah. They're looking very good right now, the Jamaican Bobsled team, and they're presently running in first place, holding off Environmental Impact and Network Express in the B division. Jamaican Bobsled looking very good, headed up by Bisline, and they're doing a great job. Just how did we get the name of Jamaican Bobsled? We'll have to go to the freeze frame video band to tell you the story, man.
Hey man, the job people have a right to know, man. The story of the Jamaican bobsled team. I am man. Jamaican bobsled. Jamaican bobsled. It was a lazy day, floating in my boat above the coral reef. I be burning down a big Jamaican spliff. Well, me brain was buzzed from this ganja buzz. I was so turned on, I be reeling, man. I no joking. He's no joking. I be talking. He be talking. Then I fall asleep and I have a dream. And in this dream, Jah talked to me. And I could not believe what he said.
Go to the Olympics and race a bobsled.
I said, come on, Jah. What you say, Jah? This is Jamaica. This is Jamaica. There be no snow here, man. This is Jamaica. Jamaican bobsled. Jamaican bobsled. He said, go get yourself and a corporate sponsor that live on American soil. Then smoke ganja and praying in just streets using fruit carts and 40-weight oil. Then you go to Calgary and you wait and see. They'll come from near and far to see the bobsled stars from Jamaica. From Jamaica. From Jamaica. From Jamaica. So I round up a team and we train so hard, racing through the Kingston streets. And hey man, a great deal of our training, man, was smoking lots and lots of spliffs. Oh, to keep us fit, we take another hit, working hard and long on the ganja in the bong. I no joking, man. He no joking. Oh, we be smoking, man. He be smoking.
This just in on the Sports Wire. Jamaica announced today it will enter a bobsled team in this year's Winter Olympics. We hear their entry really smokes. Little joke there.
Then the big day come and we go to Calgary to see the bobsled run. I take one look and I say, no way, man, this thing look dangerous. It's not gonna be no fun. But the whole world's watching and we got to race in our Jamaican bobsled ship. So to give me courage while I make the run, I get really, really ripped. Yeah, we smoke a big slip about 2 foot long. Oh, we sit in the bobsled cause it won't be long. We'll be dying, man. Oh, I don't wanna do this, I'm no lion, man. He no lion.
Well, that was certainly quite a story about the Jamaican bobsled race team. And now we come up to S16, the Jets Are Us race team. This is a 25-foot motion racing boat powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboard motors. This boat is owned by East Coast Jet Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're driving today. We've got Don Abatiello of Lighthouse Point, Florida, and Mark Connell of Fort Lauderdale, Florida is on throttles. The Jets Are Us race team. They're having a great run. There you see them rounding the checkpoint and heading down the race course with the coastline of Miami, Florida, off on the port side. So they're really going to get a good view there on the beach today, and they're really having a fine run. We're coming to the closing stages of the races, so everyone's got to let it all hang out and put those throttles down. This is what it's all about. And Jets Are Us are having a great run. We've got Jets Are Us, Sunfire, Sundance Skater, Liliana, Godspeed, who we saw earlier on, and Courageous Cat is out of the race for today. But now the whole thing is going to come down to who has run the race course correctly and who hasn't. Godspeed feels they've run the course correctly, where some of the other competitors have gone off course. We will have to wait and get final results and officiating from the APBA officials. But right now we're going to stay with what's on the screen, and they're having a great run. Jets R Us in stock class had a first place in Key West and a third place in Cape Coral, putting them in somewhat of a strong lead actually over Concattac in the stock class. It's really not that strong actually. If Concattac has a good run here today, they could move into first place. But your top 3 points leaders in stock class are Jets R Us, Concattac, Sunfire, and Godspeed with a good run here today can move right in the thick of things in the points battle for the stock division of the APBA. But right now we're staying with S16, the Jets R Us race team headed up by Don Abatiello and Mark Connell on throttles, having a great run here today in Miami, Florida. The Jets R Us race team. Now we're back to Mandy Fernandez's Team Ferrari, the collection. And this is going to be a great close. We're going to stick with him as he heads toward the start-finish line, and we're really going to bring you the best that we can provide. Freeze-frame video right here is showing you what we're all about. It's a two-camera shoot. We've got Jeff Girardi with camera 1, and we've got Gary Johnson and Tom Russell aboard the other helicopter bringing you camera 2. That's Gary Johnson right there filming, and that's Jeff Girardi in the other helicopter filming on the other side. Freeze-frame video striving to bring you the best in offshore video reproductions. But right now we're going to stay with Mandy Fernandez's Team Ferrari, who had a great run, and we're going to head toward the checkered flag with him. Right now, of course, this is unofficial, but we're going to stay with Team Ferrari collection as they head toward the start-finish line, and if all stays like this, take the checkered flag. So we're going to stay with him, and then in just moments after that, we'll be bringing you the final results of the Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150. I think the thing that's going to be very interesting here is once we get the results officially sorted out, because they had, in the beginning of the race, when everyone went off course, that had them run so many miles, 10 miles out and 10 miles back, which is not only going to affect our final results, but also the average speeds. So we're just going to have to wait and see until the APBA officials sort this whole thing out. Well, that's it. The Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150 is in the record books, and here are your final results. In the Superboat class, Kirk and Alan Dunteman taking first place in the Agitator Rest team with an average speed of around 60 miles per hour. Bear in mind they ran 20 extra miles, and we had very rough racing conditions. Second place went to Warrior, and third place went to Mandy Fernandez's Team Ferrari, the collection. So obviously that wrong direction that they went off the first checkpoint in the first lap has affected the results, being that they have wound up in third place. Tough break for Mandy Fernandez, but an excellent run nonetheless. In Pro Stock, it went to Talon in first place, followed by Panama Jack in second, and Lipstick taking third with Bad Move in fourth. The stock class, certainly an interesting story here, where the judges had a lot to do with the final outcome. Godspeed, which originally was thought to have finished fifth, has been awarded first place, being that they were the only boat in the stock division to run the course correctly and make all the necessary checkpoints. That means Jets R Us have finished in second place, Sunfire gets third place, and Sundance Skater gets knocked out to fourth place. Very good job of navigating for the Godspeed race team. Now let's get to the offshore divisional results. In Offshore C, first place went to John Provenzano's Heat Is On, who had an excellent run. Fish Peddler taking second place, and Dollar Marine Special taking third place. Offshore B went to the Jamaican bobsled team, who had an excellent run, followed by Environmental Impact in second, and Network Express in third place. And Offshore A, that went to Vanishing Point, followed by Scott Free Racing in second, and Wild Thing holding off Too Hot to take third place. Well, that's it. Those are the official results for the 1990 Hooters Gold Cup Offshore 150. Well, before we go, there are a few closing comments I'd like to make. Overall, we found it to be a very exciting race. It's good to be back to Miami, Florida for an exciting APBA offshore powerboat race. We had rough racing conditions, which provided some very exciting competition and some great racing for the fans. Thank goodness no one was hurt. That's always a welcome sign to have a safe race. The APBA